from my sorrow and hand down death for them devils. There's no tomorrow. Why? Cause they violence leave a man a stiff corpse. You see a flag in a bench, I see horns in a pitchfork. Go ahead. So please believe it, the white man is a demon, and I ain't gon' vote for them to free me. No. They beat us till we the color purple, that's why this knife to they throat like ceiling. You got this nigga on his knees, they wanna have peace. We screaming, let this bitch burn at 1,000 degrees. I'm laying in the bosom of revenge. I told her I'd do anything she please as I squeeze on the double D's. Fuck you mean? I'm talking to you. Slaughter, yeah, slaughter, yeah, slaughter, yeah, slaughter, yeah, slaughter, yeah, slaughter, yeah, slaughter. That they do not rise and fill the world with lies. Ain't die for your skin, you gon' die for your crime. That's why I'm talking to you. So warn for your life. Your life try to destroy my people. You gotta pay the price, nigga. You gotta hear, let them hear. Tell them devils that they in this shit. Slaughter, yeah, slaughter, yeah.
The police just shot him for no reason at all. They asked for license and registration. That's the police officer over there that did it. With the black on. I can't really do shit because they got me handcuffed. I can't believe they just did this. I'm fucking back! Ah!
It's okay, I'm right here with you.
What's going on, Baltimore? What's up? What's going on, Israel? Of course, we the Isupkbmore coming out of 1 West 125th Street up there in Harlem, New York, man. And we gonna go into some history today. We gonna go a little bit back. We gonna go deep into it so that we can understand what the hell is going on here today and why it's not a good thing to celebrate Juneteenth. You know, it's not a time for celebration right now. When we look at our current circumstances, it is not a time for us to be jumping up and down about freedom, man. It's not a time for line dancing and twerking online and all of this type of garbage, man. It's time to be serious. It's time for warfare. Right. It's time to think, man. All right, look. We're going to reason together, black people. We're going to reason together. We're going to use practical knowledge, and that's what this school is about. It's about putting forth some practical knowledge so we can make some goddamn practical decisions, man. All right? We're going to go back a little in the past with Abraham Lincoln. See, the history of our oppressor is his perspective. He puts his lies and his perspective on everything dealing with history, so that in every genre, he looks like the hero, or he looks like the one that grew a conscience, or he looks like he's better now than he was in the past. White culture, white supremacy, oppression is the same as it was in the past. All right, we're going to prove that. We're going to go in the Bible and prove it. Go ahead, I'll go to the next slide. We're going to speak on Abraham Lincoln, because everybody talk about the Emancipation Proclamation and Abraham Lincoln freed the slave. Abraham Lincoln ain't free no goddamn body. Look, understand this. Understand this, man. Abraham Lincoln is not a hero to black people. He is not somebody that we should look at as somebody that did something good for us, or somebody we should celebrate as some type of savior. That's ridiculous. The perspective that we have on the past dealing with Abraham Lincoln is ridiculous. So we're going to talk about Abraham Lincoln's own words. Read that, please.
Arthur Abraham Lincoln, date 1862. Annotation: in August 1862, Lincoln stated, "If I could save the Union without freeing any slave, I would do it."
Whoa. Go back, read that again.
In August 1862.
No, just the part you just read.
Oh, if I could save the Union without freeing any slave, I would do it.
Abraham Lincoln, in his own words, slavery is not a concern of his. His concern is saving the Union. That was the only concern that he ever had. There were abolitionists that wanted slavery to end, but it wasn't a thing of conscience or seemingly growth in morality in white America. It was not that. It was that the business model of America was changing. We coming into the industrial age now. And we coming into they starting to open up factories. And they don't need slaves as much as they need low-wage workers, which is why you have labor unions and all of this that's going to rise up soon after. Because the whole model of America is changing to fit the business model that they created for the age that's coming, for the industrial age that's coming. All right, it's going to be a big boost and jump in innovation here. So Abraham Lincoln is talking about, look, if I could save the Union without freeing any of these slaves, I would do that. He wants to compromise. In fact, right before this, he sent a truce to the South, saying that, you know, if you agree to these little bit of terms here, we can put things in perspective and get it right. But the South believed in states making their own decision. So it was going to be no matter what. So he came up with a war strategy. We're going to get into that in a minute. Go ahead and keep reading that.
And if I could save it by freeing all slaves, I would do it. And if I could save it by freeing some slaves and leaving others alone, I would also do that. In fact, by that time, immense pressure was building to end slavery, and Lincoln had privately concluded that he could save the Union only by issuing an Emancipation Proclamation, which he had already drafted.
Look. When they say pressure was on him to keep the Union together, because had that Union fractured, we would have two different countries right now. And the South was the backbone of the revenue and the resources coming into America. The South was very rich at that time. Why? Because they had slaves. They had people that they could make do anything for nothing. And not only could they do that, they could satisfy any whim or sexual inclination or deviancy that they had. with for people that had no rights at all, that were held like cattle. Imagine being under the deviant sexual whim of white America. Look, Abraham Lincoln discussed slavery in depth. He said, if I could free some of them, not free all of them, I would. If I could let all of them free, I would. If I could keep all of them in slavery, I would. As long as we have the Union stay intact and this country we built where we're able to exploit every goddamn thing and we're gaining and becoming the most wealthiest country on the earth, exploiting an unlimited mound of resources, man, of not only animal and fauna and mineral resources, food resources, and people resources. Because the North had slaves too. Let's not forget that. Let's go to the next slide. All right, so here I made I gave y'all a map of the Mason-Dixon line. If you look at that red line running across the presentation, it's a map of the Mason-Dixon line. All right, now the South was all the way from Texas, all the way up there past North Carolina, up to D.C., Maryland, all the way up there. You know, damn near the Delaware there. And it encompassed all of those states. All of that was considered the South, the dirty South, down South. You understand? Now, that little bit of South there was very wealthy. All of those states had slaves. Those slaves had no rights. And there were also slave-owning states in the North. The North had a lot of territory that it encompassed. All right, a lot of the resources from overseas came in through the North. The North had a lot of resources, all right? So, Abraham Lincoln had to come up with a plan because the South, being the South, and they believed in states' rights, they were not basically going to concede to anything the federal government said.
Right.
They were going to fight that war. So Lincoln had to come up with a strategy for fighting that war. And that's exactly what he did. You can read that, bro.
The proclamation only gave the Lincoln administration the legal basis to free the slaves in the areas of the South that were still in rebellion on January 1st, 1863.
All right. Now, what this is saying is that those states in the South that had already conceded from the Union, Lincoln, who had no authority whatsoever to say, all right, I'm freeing all the slaves in the South. I'm going to make this proclamation. I'm going to free all the slaves that are in the South. Those southern states had already seceded from the Union, which was the reason why they were fighting the Civil War.
Right.
So him freeing the slaves in those states, that was a war strategy. Black man and black woman, Puerto Rican man, Puerto Rican woman, Native Indian man and woman of Negro descent. Look, listen. Negro and Indian descent. Listen. That was a war strategy. The reason why the South was so powerful and so strong is because they had slaves that were taking care of their homes, all of the menial work for the military, emptying latrines, resupply, which is the biggest thing. You cannot move an army absent supply. The slaves were supplying the armies. The slaves were making the weapons. The slaves were taking care of the homes of the officers while they were away at war. The entire South could concentrate on the war effort. Why? Because they had slaves taking care of everything. In order to disrupt that war effort, Lincoln came up with the strategy of, I'm going to tell those slaves that if you leave the South and come up to the North, you can be free and you can fight with the Northern Army. And of course, if you were somebody in chattel slavery, living in the abusive South, of course, you would want to leave. And not only that, you could come back to fight and save your family. That's only one choice for a black man in that desperate situation. Hey, I'm going to die down here anyway. They're going to brutalize me and whip me and use me until I'm dead. I'm going to go up to the North and fight. And that's exactly what happened. So you had all of these armed Negroes, and look, we are very good at warfare. We're very good at fighting. We're very good at it. Especially when we're trained. We're extremely good at it, and we have the heart for it and the temperament for it. Just like we fought for the promised land in Israel. And we destroyed tribe after tribe, nation after nation of people that were 3 and 4 and 5 times our size. That's the type of warriors we are. Imagine Michael Jordan and LeBron James with a sword in their hand and a musket in their hand, jumping over heads and lopping off arms and lopping off heads, man. Fast and strong and resilient. You know, we don't get freaking lice. You know, we can move in the sun and arid environments without passing the hell out. That's why they have us out in the field all day. We can march all damn day. So Lincoln came up with this war strategy to free the Negroes, depriving the South of their precious slaves who was able to take care of everything, even administrative works, so that they could concentrate strictly on the war effort. And that's how the South was winning up until Lincoln made that proclamation. And then guess what? You had the first black regiments, like the 54th, being created and having phenomenal success against the South. But we think it was white people that went and died of free for others. It was black people on those front lines, in the woods, on the plains, fighting and dying. Imagine what happened to those black soldiers when they were caught. They weren't in prison. They were tortured and hanged, set on fire, right then and there. They didn't survive. So it was basically a fight to the death. Every battle you was in, you might as well fought to the death. Because these white people were killing us down there in the South. But this was strictly a war strategy for Lincoln to be able to win this war And the proof of it is, after the war was over, they were supposed to have Reconstruction. Reconstruction was cut off, and all the soldiers absconded and left black people to be killed and murdered and lynched and completely and utterly eviscerated by those Southern soldiers. Black people who had fought for the North and fought, you know what they did? Completely abandoned black people to the treachery and to the barbarism of the South. That's exactly what white America did, but they won't tell us that. They keep pushing us and filling our heads full of Abraham Lincoln heroes. Abraham Lincoln didn't give a damn about black people. He cared about this country that was designed for white people to prosper. All right. You can finish that up.
It has effectively destroyed slavery as the Union armies advanced south and conquered the entire Confederacy. Date, January 1st, 1863, American Civil War.
So the Confederates were completely destroyed when? After the Emancipation Proclamation. So don't ever tell me about Lincoln being a goddamn hero. Those slaves were the heroes. Those slaves that were brave enough to escape. You know what they would do to us when we would try to escape the South? They put dogs on us, burn us alive, splitting and cutting babies out of black women's stomachs, man. These people, look, man, we don't know these people, man. We don't know these people. And we don't know half of the treacherous torture that they did to us, man. A lot of it has been hidden. We know a lot of it, but a lot of it too has been hidden. Let's move on, brother.
Slavery prophesied in the Bible, Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 15. But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe, to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee.
This is a contract that we made with the Most High God. It's a contract stating that we will follow his ordinances, his commandments, his laws, and in that we would prosper. And if we didn't, there were some specific things that would fall upon us. A horrific, barbarous slavery that would not only destroy our bodies, but destroy our minds, which is why a lot of black people today cannot even comprehend the things that are happening to us right now. There are black people that think that it's normal to grow up in a neighborhood where people from the other side of the earth are able to come into your neighborhood and prosper, while we suffer and die in generational poverty. They take the businesses in our neighborhood, pass them down to their children as an inheritance, essentially passing us down as an inheritance.
Right.
And we don't understand how evil that actually is. It doesn't happen with any other race of people in America. Every race of people are able to carve out and have their little piece of America, their culture in it, where they're able to run their small towns the way that they want to, but not us. And we think it's normal. We think it's progression. We progressed. We overcame. Martin didn't see over the mountain, but we got to the mountaintop. Let me tell you what it is. It's a sick, confused way of thinking. It's sickening to think and believe something that's contrary to reality. The reality is most black people will live and die horribly in America. And it's not our fault. It's not our fault. And we can go into several reasons why that is. And it's not blaming somebody. Killing is, you can't just blame him. Killing is bull crap about blaming somebody. You can't put somebody and give somebody specific circumstances and expect those circumstances to come out different. You can't stockpile dope in a people's community and expect them to be sober. It's outrageous, it's ridiculous to think this way, but this is how we think. And even that is not our fault. Even that. They say the devil is a lie. Yes, the devil is a liar. Yes. Let's get into these curses. Go ahead. It don't matter. Well, read from your Bible.
Verse 16, cursed shall thou be in the city, and cursed shall thou be in the field.
That's being cursed in the city and in the field. Do you know we don't take anything from the field and manufacture it to go on the shelf to be sold? Not even to ourselves. Nothing. And that's a messed up place to find ourselves in when we were the ones that were the farmers and the carpenters and the electricians and the HVACs and we did it all.
Right.
But they thought about it and they changed the way they did their operations because it was a time when white folks wouldn't even pick up a hammer. We did all the building and all the work. We built the damn White House, the architecture. We designed and built these things. Look, oh boy, this is a lot we really don't understand. Right now, we don't know the entire manufacturing process of even being able to live without white folks.
Right.
To take a buffalo, a cow, from birth to the slaughterhouse, to packaging, to marketing, to display, and to sale. We do not have all the pieces of the puzzle to put it together to create an infrastructure because we allow our oppressor to do those things for us. And it's a reason why they designed it that way to do those things for us.
Right.
We go into a lot of us go into, educated parts of society that really don't benefit us at all. Psychologists, this, and we work in different trucking jobs, we work in different factory jobs, but we are not producing products. Not even our own. Not even our own clothes, our own food. This is chronicled where in the Bible? It's chronicled in the Bible, and we got to understand how much of a really messed up position that puts us in. You can't have a rebellion if we don't know how to live absent our oppressor. But this is the good thing. This is the good thing. We have a school right now that can teach us those skills.
Right.
But we got to understand that we are absent those skills. We depend on our oppressor as if he's going to show up every day and allow us to buy his food. What if he says, I'm not going to sell you my food? Then what? Interesting. Read on.
Verse 17, cursed shall thou thy basket and thy store. Verse 18, cursed shall be the fruit of thy body and the fruit of thy land.
It's not 18. It's 15, 23. No, just the ones that's on there. Yeah, just the ones.
Verse 23, and thy heaven that is over thy head shall be brass.
The heaven that is over thy head shall be brass. That's the new slavery. All right, what this is talking about is prison. This is how white America is able to generate funding, government funding for different towns. That you remember when the number one commodity of a lot of those backwater white towns was coal mining and oil and gold mining and things of that nature. Well, a lot of them coal mines dried up. A lot of those companies went overseas. And guess what the commodity is now for a lot of these counties and small towns? It's the incarceration of black men. Right. All right, because every black man that is incarcerated draws funding from the federal government. Look at it like this. Look at it like this. Say you live in Baltimore City. We from Baltimore. You live in Baltimore City. When you get time, you go to Hagerstown. Why in the world do you have to go to Hagerstown? You know, you didn't commit a crime in Hagerstown. Why do we have to make our amends to people in Hagerstown? Why? Why do we have to go to Hagerstown to be locked up and to do time and to work on a farm and, you know, do free labor for certain commodities for these towns to exist? Why? It's because whenever they change your address to Hagerstown, the federal government pays a certain amount of dollars for our care and our maintenance. All right? So now, you have these small towns that have these federal dollars coming in for revenue that they're paying for, and I heard they pay something of like $5 to $6 for a meal, and the meal costs like 25 cents, I believe. So, and what happens to the fresh produce and sheep and lamb and cows and the meat products that are grown there? A lot of it goes to the town. A lot of it goes to the town. It doesn't go to the prisoners. You know, the prisoners are damn near starving. Yeah, I mean, if you don't have somebody on the outside, you know, giving you money, or you don't have a job that's paying you some money. I guess it pays something like 5-10 cents a day. I don't know, to have a job there, you can get a can of tuna fish, but these people are making billions. From black men, the labor and the federal income that they have created from black men being arrested is phenomenal, which is why they don't want aggressive policing to stop. They want more police so they can lock more black men up and white people can live in Hagerstown. Hey, you know what the number one job is in Hagerstown? Being a correctional officer. Just being a correctional officer. You get hellified bonuses, hellified health care, you get nice pay, and this goes on for generation after generation. Hey, you have some white folks, working on one block, and they all cousins. That's what happens in Hagerstown. They all cousins. You do something to one cousin, they will come at you. Why do you do that to my cousin? Why do you say that to my cousin? Beat the piss out of you. Look, and it's been going on forever. They are making white lives incredible out there. They're making so much money in Hagerstown from black people being locked up, working us to death, our children to death, while we saying we don't want the crime. We got to look at the things that create the crime. Not just try to lock everybody up for crime's sake. That don't get rid of crime. How can it? They've been locking us up for the better part of 30 years. And the crime rate only increases because it's meant to increase. When you remove fathers from the home, it's meant to increase the crime rate. What you think the sun going to do? The crime rate is specifically connected to poverty, especially generational poverty. If you deal with a little bit of that, the crime rate will fall. They want the crime rate, they want it to increase. Right. So white people can live well in Hagerstown. It ain't that hard. Read on, brother.
And the earth that is under thee shall be iron.
Earth that is under thee shall be iron. Hard is iron. Almost unescapable. You understand? They lock our children up at 18 or 19. They 40 years old and still can't get a job. That's evil, man. That's disgusting and evil. Just understand how evil that is. You 19 years old and made some mistakes because your mother out on the street somewhere tricking or riding a pole and on crack, and you had to, protect yourself or rob somebody to goddamn eat a sandwich when you was 18, 19, 17 years old. And they got you with 3, 4, 5 felonies, and you 40 years old and changed your life, got children you trying to take care of, and can't get a job that's making a living wage, man. That is evil as hell. That make people want to continue to do crime because what the hell? I can't get out of this hole. That is iron underneath thy feet. You can't move. It's God damn. Come on, go ahead.
Verse 41. Thou shalt begot sons and daughters, but thou shalt not enjoy them, for they shall go into captivity.
Shall go into captivity. Our sons and daughters' minds have been corrupted and destroyed based upon all the propaganda and filth that this white society has pumped into it. That they believe being a drug dealer is like being a damn superhero. Being a rapper that talks about the drug life, you gotta be in the drug life in order to get some points to be a rapper that talks about the drug life. That's what Tupac did. That's what Tupac did. He'll rap about, you know, some gang banging and then go do it. Try to be hard. Try to be available for doing something wicked and doing something wrong to continue to get street creds, to continue to get paid. Because that's what their white handlers want. The more negative press you have as a rapper, the better it is for our pockets. You a rapper, the more you get locked up, the more dangerous and violent things that you do, the more you get paid, the more your fame rises. This is a disgusting place that we're in. Read on, bro.
Verse 48. Therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee.
We serve our enemies day in, day out. Even the rich basketball players. When they first come in to play goddamn basketball, they gotta have some doctor come in and lift up their balls, bend over, look at their behind, and see how strong and muscle you are, and look at your doctor's report, your patient reports, and see if you got anything wrong with you, just like the slavers would do. Look at your teeth, look at your gums to make sure you're healthy, because they about to make an investment in you. This is the same thing they do on that goddamn football field, man. We was just talking about that, my thumb. Right. Same damn thing that they do, man. Read on, brother.
In hunger and in thirst and in nakedness and in want of all things.
In one of all things. In hunger, thirst, and nakedness. Like we talked about, we don't produce anything. We don't produce anything, man. Shit. When president, who was the president that got the welfare going, because he rode down south and saw black people looking like they was from a third world country with big bellies and starving, and I forget the name of the president. Roosevelt. Damn sure was. Theodore Roosevelt went down there and saw black people starving and gave us a little handout, some welfare. You know what I'm saying? Because black people were starving so badly down there in the South, man. You know, when they stopped construction and all pulled out after the Civil War, and the white slavers were so angry and so upset that they just started brutalizing black people. And of course, they didn't own us privately. They didn't own us privately, so they could kill us and just move on to the next one. So it wasn't a thing. It got super worse for us after what you call chattel slavery. All right, go ahead, brother.
And he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed thee.
It's a yoke of iron on our neck. The reputation that we carry is a yoke of iron. Those criminal records that we carry is a yoke of iron. Because you can't walk into an interview and think you're going to get a job when you have a criminal record. You already know you got a yoke around your neck that's holding us down and destroying us, man. That yoke don't have to mean an actual physical chain around our neck. This yoke is something we've been dealing with for the past 400 years. We have no power. This is chronicled in the Bible. We can move past that. We gotta move on to the next slide. You know what I'm saying?
Slave plantation to public housing. The social economic conditions of the projects result from years of racist behavior towards so-called African blacks that can be traced to the origins of slavery and have continued because of global commerce and capitalism.
Like we say, business, capitalism was changing. We getting into the industrial age. But all the stereotypes and racial positioning, that had to stay in place. We had to be used and exploited as a cheap foundation of labor. And that's what they did. They carried it over and we became property of the state, which is little more than a slave. Sharecroppers. Sharecroppers. So instead of working for nothing, we were put in debt. A game of debt. Just like today, put in debt automatically. So all through the year when we had to get clothes and food from the oppressor, he would charge us for all that and write it all up. So when it was time to go out there and pick the crops and bring them in, we always owed a debt to the oppressor that was more than the job that we just did. So now we little more than slaves because we always have to pay off that debt if we ever want to eat again. If we want to go to that storehouse and eat again, we had to continuously pay a debt that we could never pay up. You know what I'm saying? Where we at? Oh, go ahead.
So-called black poor are well aware that they are subject to rigorous social quarantining, numerous social stigmas.
Listen to that. Social quartering. Listen to what that's saying, because it's the same damn thing that's going on now. And what's happening now is why would they have laundering charges? Why do you get locked up for laundering? You know what that is? Being locked up for laundering. We can't be in a certain space. We cannot occupy a certain space. All right? It's the same thing that happened to Trayvon Martin. Trayvon Martin went into a particular neighborhood occupying a particular space. And when he went into that neighborhood, he was allowed to be murdered because they didn't want him in that neighborhood. These stigmas carry on. These stigmas were created. Black people in this country do no more crime than white people. In fact, white people do a hell of a lot more crime and a hell of a lot more serious crime than black people do. If you deal with the poverty, you would deal with a lot of the crime that black people are dealing with. All right, read on, brother.
So-called black poor are well aware that they are subject to rigorous social quarantining, numerous social stigmas, stringent surveillance, and brutal punishment, as was on the plantation.
It was on the plantation, which is the same thing. Read on.
But modern American policing strategies and racial politics are an oppressive means of regulating the urban poor, primarily black youth. This criminal justice juggernaut regulates the lives of poor Negroes to an extraordinary degree.
A ridiculous degree. A ridiculous degree. These are things that white people would never accept. They would never accept living in a building where the police were constantly raiding houses and constantly pulling people over, checking for IDs, constantly harassing. And white people look at us and say, well, why don't they just do what they say? Sometimes we get tired of being punked and kicked and spat on all goddamn day. These white people come in our neighborhoods and take out their frustrations on us, man. And it's disgusting to take out their brutality on innocent black people. And according to their own figures, we have as much as 12% of black people in prisons that did not do the crime at all. At all, did not do the crime that they're in prison for. In some of these counties that survive and their largest of money come from the federal government from locking up black men, as much as 35 to 40% of black men get more time than white people with similar criminal records. For the same charge, 30% more time in prison. It's ridiculous for us to look at this and say that there's not something behind it. All right, go ahead to the next slide.
Genesis chapter 15, verse 13. And he said unto Abram, know of a surety that thy seed shall be a stranger in a land that is not theirs.
Oh, do me a favor. Do me a favor. So he said, and the brother read Genesis 15 and 13. That says, and he said unto Abram, know of a surety for sure that thy seed shall be a stranger in a land that is not theirs, and shall serve them, and they shall afflict them 400 years. This is a land that we've been in and been afflicted in for 400 years. You can't say that the affliction stopped after chattel slavery. I don't think even the most ignorant and uninformed can say that, considering the circumstances of what's going on with black folks today. I don't even think the most ignorant can come up with that. Look, it's the same thing that happened in Egypt. When the Lord showed his miracles, showed whose side he was on, showed who his people were. I don't know, shoot off the edge of the table. When he showed who he was for, who his people was, the miracles, a miracle is not that a sea could split itself or come with a wave to wipe out an army. The miracle was in the timing that it happened. It happened exactly when we needed it to happen and wiped out a full army. The strongest army in the world, which were the Egyptians at the time. Well, the Lord prophesies he'll do the same thing here. But we have to do certain things. We got to come out of the fog that we're in. Stop thinking like white supremacists. I talk to a lot of people online, a lot of black people that talk exactly like white supremacists. They say, oh, you got to stop blaming this imaginary white man for everything. But who runs the government? Who has possession of all the resources, all the corporations, all the credit scores? Brother, all of these things were made to disenfranchise us. Why is there a credit score that you have to deal with? And look, even if you pay all of your bills on time, that doesn't necessarily mean that you'll have a good credit score. You have to pay your bills. We have to pay our bills like white folks do. Poor people can't pay their bills that way. You understand? If you got a credit card, you need to pay that up within the month to avoid the interest charges and for the score to be recorded for your score to go up. Well, a lot of times we can't pay that off within that certain period of time. Maybe we can only pay the bare minimum. Well, your score goes down. Well, I paid. You didn't pay like a white person.
Right.
You understand? All of these things were made to disenfranchise us. They look at our habits. They look at what we do. They look at how we move. And they make black life illegal. It's very simple. Very simple. They make black life completely illegal. Read on, good brother.
And shall serve them, and they shall afflict them 400 years.
Read on.
Acts chapter 7, verse 6. And God spake on this wise, that his seed should sojourn in a strange land, and that they should bring them into bondage, and entreat them evil 400 years.
Entreat them evil. Good. We don't even understand what that means, man. We integrated. Now we online twerking and having sex with animals.
Right.
Now we online having same-sex marriages. We would have never done that. It would have been such an embarrassment to do that. But now, we have been shown in evil, a deep, dark, disgusting evil, and we are pushed to join in it. I was born this way. I was born gay. That's what a lot of I was born with those attributes. Well, can a person that likes to have sex with children say the same thing? I was born attracted to them. You was born attracted to children. You know you're not supposed to have sex with children. And you know you're not supposed to have sex with people that are of your same gender. You know it's wrong. But we have been entreated evil for so goddamn long that sexual deviance is just a regular day. The pastor having sex with everybody's wives, that's normal in America. That's normal in America. You know, you having sex with your best friend's wife. That's normal. In America. you know. You looking at another man as if to distort brotherhood and have a sexual relationship. See, animals. All of this comes into play because we ignore the most basic laws of God. His most basic laws. The most basic knowledge that he gives us, we ignore it. To fear God more than mammon. We fear this oppressor more than God. We fear this oppressor. That's why we'll join his LGBT. You know what I found out myself? That these LGBT have racism in it. Like they, a lot of these LGBTQ groups are racist. Like they don't want black people to join in their stuff. Like it's bad to have sex with a black man. It's okay to have sex with a white man if you're a white man, but don't have sex with a black man. And in the hierarchy and leadership structure, of course, of the LGBTQ, of course, it's going to be white. White people have to push and move this evil. Because black people at some point going to say, man, this is evil, this is wicked as hell. It got to be a white donor or funder to push the narrative of this being a good thing. You had something?
Yeah, you know, with all these years, they make us think the LGBT community is about everybody. You know what I mean? We always thought that they were not prejudiced, but they just as prejudiced as anybody else. They got the same hate in their heart. You understand?
Goddamn right.
The old white man or young white woman, they all got the same hate in their heart.
Hateful as hell. And what's even more evil is they try to couple it with the struggle of black people and say the struggle of homosexuality is the same as the struggle in being black. I don't choose to be black. I love being black. It is a beautiful, glorious thing, and I thank the Lord every day that he made me, that he chose me and made me, you know, of the children of Israel. That I appreciate. I appreciate that. It's wonderful. It's beautiful. Even if everybody else think that I'm trash, I know the Lord chose me. So that's funny to me. But I don't choose to be black. I do choose who to have sex with. You cannot be born a homosexual. You know why? Because the only way to become a homosexual is to have sex with somebody of the same gender. So you cannot be born a homosexual because it's an action. It's not a genetic birth, something that you can't help. It is an action, a choice that you make to have sex with somebody of the same sex, and then you become a full-out homosexual, which is against God.
Right.
I ain't gonna get too much into that, but let's move on, brother. Who we at?
Policing the plantation.
Go ahead.
Right. Slave patrol duties. Breaking up slave meetings.
Read on.
Monitoring rigid pass requirements for traveling slaves. Randomly searching slaves in their quarters. Inflicting brutal punishments for infractions, real or perceived, intimidation under treatment of death and or harsh violent reprisal.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. This is how we are terrorized every goddamn day until this day. We can't huddle together in certain places. We can't. They say it's an illegal gathering. It's an illegal gathering. Didn't they just lock people up for an illegal gathering over there where them young men was beaten badly? Young man named Ricky, I can't remember what state it was, but his brother was being harassed by the police. He called his brother. And his brother came and they show a video of both of the men in handcuffs but being brutally beaten by the police. So people started to of course hit the streets, you know, like we do, like we always do, our leaders tell us to do, which is ridiculous. You know, we can just let our money speak to us, just speak for us, just put our money in our pocket. Don't patronize these people and these businesses. Fight for our business and our prosperity back. But we come out, of course, on the streets with the love we have for our brother, the deep ingrained genetic love that we have for one another. And they say this is an illegal gathering, and they start locking people up because all they have for black people in America is the stick. All they have is the stick. No carrot. It's always the stick. And guess what? The more we ask for freedom, the more we show them how brutal they are, the more stick they are prepared to give. All right.
You know they sell these plantation police badges?
They sell them.
They sell these. $13 for this badge right here.
Okay. Probably.
That's crazy.
Probably. They probably already got each other deputized, you know what I'm saying, with the Klan, because that's what they used to use to deputize each other with. You know, we're going to get to that in a minute, and that you brought that up. We're going to get to that in 1 second, and I'm going to show you something about the Second Amendment. Let's go to the next slide. What time?
Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 23. And thy heaven that is over thy head shall be brass, and the earth that is under thee shall be iron.
We went over that. This is not you know, these are, God, where's my brain at today? These are metaphors. These are metaphors that talk about the great amount of stress and the great amount of evil that these people have put into place and written into the law that keep us from prospering in this country, man. This is what this is talking about. It's talking about how they put us in prisons and we're never and unable to get out of these prisons, man. All right, let's go to the next slide, brother.
Origins of the Second Amendment.
Now, I'm gonna get into what you was talking about selling these badges and all of these crap, because the Second Amendment, you know, white people go on and on about it, that it's all about being able to protect yourself, having a gun to protect yourself. We don't talk about what the Second Amendment is truly about, because everything in white society has an origin in slavery. Whenever you go back to those first laws in the Constitution, the laws that they enacted, it was about disenfranchising black people and protecting themselves against an insurrection, which they do today in multiple ways. But this is what the Second Amendment is really about. Ain't no goddamn protection against no damn government or nobody else. It was always put in place because of their fear of black people. Read that, bro.
Delegate Patrick Henry, in particular, was quite vocal on the subject, saying, if the country be invaded, a state may go to war, but cannot suppress slave insurrection. If there should happen an insurrection of slaves, the country cannot be said to be invaded. They cannot therefore suppress it without the interposition of Congress.
Oh, let me explain what this cat is talking about here, man. This Second Amendment, look, we gotta understand the consensus of the time. So let me take you back for a minute. Just roll with me for a minute. I'm gonna take you back in time. You know what I'm saying? So rock with me, roll with me for a minute. Just listen to me for 1 second. Let's go back to chattel slavery. We're in the middle of chattel slavery. All right? And this is around the time of a lot of slave insurrections. A lot of people believe that when slaves used to escape, they used to go to the north. When in actuality, a lot used to go to the south. Further to the south, to Mexico. And near Mexico. And the reason why was there were free provinces for black people there. All right? As well. Understand this, that there were a lot of large plantations, a lot of dissatisfied black people. Now, they had to come up with a way to quell these black people in case there was an insurrection that could not be put down immediately, that it went across state lines. You understand? At this time, it couldn't be much of a federal response, which is the reason why the South was all about states' rights. So in order for a slave insurrection to be put down across straight line, they had to have these militias. And these militias needed to be armed. Understand that this was a time when all white people in the South were armed and they were slave catchers. Every white person had a duty to look out for escaped slaves and to check the credentials of any black person walking down the street. Any white person could walk up to you and say, where's your credentials? What's your destination? Where you going? You had to have your papers and all of this information. Come to find out that the patrols in pre-slavery America were more than in communist Russia. So we got asked for our paperwork more than they did in communist Russia. This was a disgusting time for black people, man. And this, look, and what police do today is a direct lineage, inheritance of what was happening at this time. When the police pull you over in the car, I have the right to ask you for your license. Give me your license and registration. You can't drive without your license and registration. So you better have it available when they stop us. White people simply don't get stopped. Whether they swerving, driving erratically, whatever the hell they doing, they simply do not get stopped by the police. The police are looking to stop specifically young black men to find something in their car or provoke them to some type of violence in order to pump their record up as a police officer. So the more violent you are as a white police officer, the quicker you move up in rank. That's why you have the most violent and vile white police officers who are sergeants and captains. Because this is the consensus. The more people that they lock up, the more people that they get to react violently, they of course benefit and are rewarded from. This is the exact same thing that the Second Amendment is about. And it applies today. Because of course, black people own guns. A lot of the black people that own guns own them illegally. All right, illegally. So those guns can be turned against the oppressor. The reason why he wants everybody to own a gun, specifically all white people, it's a culture of owning guns, of teaching their children to own guns, of putting up pictures of black people and letting their children practice on it. The reason is rebellion, which is the reason why these militias go to cities to so-called protect the businesses. This is the start of the Second Amendment that we're talking about right there. Because that was the specific reason for that Second Amendment, was to quell any black insurrection. They could call up a militia by state. So when they say they are going to protect the businesses from black looters, this is where that comes from. It's completely legal. What's the young white man that killed people? What's his name? Carl Rickenberg. Yeah, he killed two white people.
He's still in there.
Kwame Yashala, yeah. Thank God he killed them,
He killed his own people. Thank God for that.
but his mission was to kill black people. That was his mission. It just so happened that it was his own people that kicked it off. Just so happened. He shot him in the head. Now, one of us had did that, we would be in jail right now. There would not be a bail. There would not be a discussion of bail. Especially when the young man had bail and he went out to parties and partied and, just did what the hell he wanted to do. He's a patriot. Ricky Schroeder. Rick, why is that name familiar to me? Silver Spoons. How about that? How about that? Silver Spoon.
He the one bailed him out. Him and another.
Wow.
Another devil.
Wow. This is the evil of white supremacy that we do not understand. We do not know these people. God damn. Hold up. 13th Amendment yet?
13th Amendment.
You know, matter of fact, I don't even want to deal with that. Move to the next one. Move to Reconstruction. You know about the 13th Amendment.
Reconstruction. Isaiah chapter 42, verse 22 to 24. But this is a people robbed and spoiled. They are all of them snared in holes, and they are hid in prison houses. They are for a prey, and none deliver it, for a spoil, and none saith restore.
Read on.
Who among you will give ear to this? Who will hearken and hear for the time to come? Who gave Jacob for a spoil and Israel to the robbers? Did not the Lord, he against whom we have sinned? For they would not walk in his ways, neither were they obedient unto his law.
Look, does not that not tell us that we need to walk in his ways? We need to be obedient. The Christian way does not work. God loves everybody does not work. The Lord knows my heart does not work. These things have steadily gotten worse for black people, and if we continue to deal with the past, the absolute barbarism that comes out is beyond words, man. So we gotta look at practical knowledge. What the hell is happening here? This is a people robbed and spoiled. We've been completely disenfranchised from our own honor. The honor in this Bible belongs to black people. The honor of King David, the honor of Christ, the sacrifice of Christ is an attribute of black people. Even though we've been destroyed and stepped on, talked about and degraded by every goddamn race in America, we allow them in our communities and allow them to prosper while we do not. That's a people robbed and spoiled. But that is a people with enough heart to lead the human race. The people that have been leading the human race thus far have been inhumane. In order to move forward in the earth, we need a people who are actually humane. We lose all kinds of megafauna, animals, almost daily now. The African lion is in threat. The white man has already killed the Asian lion, the dodo bird, the Tasmanian tiger. They're already dead. The Mickey whale is up next. We don't know who the hell these people are. All right? All right, go ahead, brother. Can we go ahead?
Isaiah chapter 42, verse 25. Therefore, he has poured upon him the fury of his anger.
Good night. Go ahead, brother.
And the strength of battle, and it has set him on fire round about.
Good night.
Yet he knew not, and he burned him. Yet he laid it not to heart.
Good night. Man, all of this stuff is burning the hell out of us, man.
Right.
Come on, man. Look, man, these curses are destroying us. We in jail. We can't get no goddamn jobs. We can't take care of our families. Our sons are going to prison right after us. Our sons are living a life that we never wanted them to live. but we take it not to heart. No, it ain't them. See, it's a money thing. See, what you gotta do, you gotta get money. It ain't the white man, it's the rules. See, it's the rules that's wrong. You gotta get money. Like LeBron James. LeBron James is a slave.
Right.
All them Negro slaves. We don't know these damn people, man. We don't know these people. Let's move to let's move down to slide 16. It says Lamentations 4 and 18 at the top. Lamentations 4 and 18. It's the next one after that.
Lamentations chapter 4, verse 18. They hunt our steps, that we cannot go in our streets. Our end is near. Our days are fulfilled, for our end is come.
Read them.
19. Our persecutors are swifter than the eagles of the heaven. They pursue us upon the mountain. They lay wait for us in the wilderness.
Look, our enemies. This white man, he already thinking 10 years before we ever even understand what the hell is going on. Look, all of these insurrections on the 6th, when they went into the White House, all of this stuff is planned, man. All of this stuff was planned, which pushes us to think in a particular political way. For them to pass particular laws that continue to degrade and destroy black people. We don't know these people, man. 10 years before we ever think of something, they've already come up with. Remember when we talked about the proclamation at the beginning of the class? They said that Abraham Lincoln had already had it written out before it ever happened. He had the Emancipation Proclamation already written. All right, where we at? We're doing Lamentations 4:19. Yeah, let's go to 20 real quick.
Lamentations chapter 4, verse 20. The breath of our nostrils, the anointed of the Lord, was taken in their pits, of whom we said, under his shadow we shall live among the heathen. 21. Rejoice and be glad, O daughters of Edom, that dwelleth in the land of Uz. The cup also shall pass through unto thee.
Hey, look, check this out. We're not saying that we want anything from white folks. You know what I'm saying? Nobody's saying we need white folks to change this up and do anything for. We're not looking for a nation that can save us in the Isupkbmore. We're looking for some brothers and some sisters that can save us. As for them, they can do whatever the hell they want to do. You feel like continuing to degrade and destroy black society is your thing? Continue. We're not asking white people for anything. We're asking our brothers and sisters to come together and follow the laws, statutes, and commandments of the Most High. And when you understand, when we understand what the hell that is, that's when we'll see how powerful it actually is. How powerful brotherhood is. How powerful the Lord is. But we gotta detox ourselves from the drunken spell of white supremacy and believing that these people can save us. That being down with these people gives us prosperity. It's a lie. One second. We get ready to close out the class. We're gonna get one more scripture. If you wanna call in for a question, by all means call in. If you want to type it into the text box, by all means do so. All right, where we at, brother?
Lamentations chapter 4 verse 21. Keep going.
Go ahead, brother.
Thou shalt be drunken and shalt make thyself naked. Verse 22. The punishment of thine iniquity is accomplished, O daughters of Zion. He will no more carry thee away into captivity.
Good night. You know what it means to make ourselves naked? We make ourselves available to white supremacy.
Right.
We continue to agree with it. We continue to try to understand it. Why? Because we believe that's the only way that we are able to live, is to continue to what? Continue to agree with these people on our own destruction and to compromise with them, which is one of the reasons why they like our women, because our women will continue to compromise any goddamn thing.
Right.
But we cannot compromise our principles. The businesses in our community, black innovation, the way we make money, the way we move has to be done by our own fortitude, our own perception, our own mastery. We cannot allow another race of people to continue to develop our infrastructure, which continues to goddamn destroy us. Developing a criminal infrastructure to push us and make us believe that we are criminals from birth. That being a rapper that speaks about selling dope to black people, beating up black people, is something that is acceptable in our community. This has to stop. We fight for the wrong things. We need to be fighting for the morality of the Most High. We fight for the evil of white supremacy. That's what we fight for. Juneteenth. One more before we end, bro. And the last one.
Mass incarceration of black men.
No, and we on 22. 22 of Lamentations.
He will no more carry thee away into captivity. He will visit thine iniquity. Let me start. Lamentations chapter 4 verse 22.
Go ahead.
The punishment of thine iniquity is accomplished, O daughters of Zion. He will no more carry thee away into captivity. He will visit thine iniquity, O daughter of Edom. He will discover thy sin.
Good night. Could not. All those things that they done to us back in chattel slavery, that has to be revealed. It must be revealed. It can't go into the past and dissolve into the freaking past. Every law that they created to make for goddamn sure that we own no small to medium businesses in Baltimore, that has to be revealed, man. We got black people in here thinking we can't be entrepreneurs, that we can't be innovators. When we created every goddamn thing in this country.
Right.
All the artistry, it would be nothing but elevator music in America if it wasn't for black people, man. When we came out with the blues, jazz, look at the blues, man. Are we properly illustrated the horrors that white people did to us in that day? The horrors, the barbarism, the burning and the hanging and the chaos and the violence. Our way of life. Look, man, got any questions, put them up right now. If not, we the Isupkbmore, man. 1 West 125th Street out there in Harlem, New York. I'm going to bring up Big Priest and Officer Matham Shakaria and take us home, baby. Shalom.
Right. Give that priest a powerful hand. Clap it up for the teacher. Excellent class. Let's get it. Give that priest a powerful hand. Excellent class. Excellent class. All right. Security announcements. We are the Isupkbmore out of 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under Commanding General Yohana. New rules for brothers and sisters. When a brother or sister comes into the school, they are off limits for 6 months. They are to be saluted only. They are here to shed themselves of the world. After 6 months, if a brother or sister has an interest in a particular person, he or she must get permission from their head to speak to a brother or sister. There's another 6 months in which the brother or sister will court each other. After this 6-month period, the brother or sister will get permission from their head to marry. Tithe, which is a commandment. You can find this in Numbers 18:21, Malachi 3, 8-10, means 10th in the Hebrew, and is pronounced ma'ashara. It means the 10th of any penny of any increase the Lord gives you, give to the Treasury Department or teacher. Preach fund, free will offering. Not mandatory, whatsoever amount you would like to give. Up and coming Holy Convocation. You can remind Akim and Aquathium to check on social media, such as Isupkbmore.com, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and so on for Isupkbmore events and material. If a brother wants to be a trooper in the school, then he is to start wearing all black, which includes black boots, pants, shirts, headband, and scarf. And with that, we're gonna give one courtesy salute to the teacher, men of Israel, a Majim Shabbat, a Majim, Barak, Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shabbat, How about you now, Shepard? Die!
Isupkbmore, class dismissed.
Trying to find something to follow, had loyalty, every man tried to borrow. Felt pain and a lot of sorrow, got betrayed, so packed, I didn't even have my heart broke. Living confused, about to lose hope. Cops got me on the side of the road, like a sideshow. Need an antidote before I croak. Now I'm setting fire to prison man blues, all this cause I smoke. Running with no goal, trying to find direction. The world had me vexed, picking up a bad nigga habit, that's a wedding word from oppression. Feel like my life was on fire, trying to find an exit. Now look, 10G hustling to the wreck. Sometimes the follower is a soldier, trying to find a good shepherd. Hustling you in hell, how do you excel? We live the breath of life, I'm believing courage hell. Listen well to what I tell, no opponent can cause pain. Something that a rebel knows very well. Can't you tell I was here from the